Welcome to the exhibition Kana Harada, Celestial Garden at the Art Museum of Southeast Texas. This is a multimedia exhibition by Dallas-based artist Kana Harada. The first piece that you see on the title wall below the artist's name in the exhibition title is a piece called Adventure. It's a square piece of paper with watercolor paint applied. Spots of pinks, oranges, greens, blues, and yellows are painted onto the watercolor paper, and layers of cut shapes of the same watercolor paper are applied and collaged on top. These shapes are resembling nature, leaves, flowers, spinning flower shapes, daffodils maybe, as well as some celestial shapes, maybe relating to outer space. And as you turn to the right in the exhibition, you'll see a pedestal about 3 feet square with a piece titled Cheer on top. And this piece is made of wood and cut foam and other mixed media. The foam is all thin foam sheets, approximately 1/8 inch thick. And these are all cut by hand. The artist uses scissors to cut each shape by hand. She does not trace. She cuts and layers the foam with different shapes that resemble flowers and organic shapes. On the wood, it's a driftwood looking type of wood, kind of organically shaped and curved, and there are little yellow flowers coming out of the wood, white flowers, and some pink flowers with larger umbrellas on top. And on the underside of the pink flowers, if you bend down, you can see that she's painted on the underside of the foam. And then as the arm of the wood stretches out towards you, you can see little acorn tops with more of cut foam shapes and beads inside of them. And if you turn to your right, you'll see another watercolor piece titled XOXO, and this piece is a little bit smaller, about 12 inches square. And it is again bright watercolor, reds, yellows, oranges, and pinks with flower shapes, more celestial shapes, leaves, cut and collaged on top of the watercolor. And as you turn to your left to enter the exhibition to the right of the title wall, something catches your eye and you look up, and there's a suspended sculpture made out of cut foam and wood and other mixed media, and it's titled Cotton Candy Tree. Applied to the wood are little white flowers with red beads, and there's umbrellas of white and pink cut foam, cut and painted sheet foam again, resembling flowers and flower shapes. And at the bottom of the piece of wood, a piece of cut foam extends out about a foot down towards you as the viewer and ends in a flower shape of white and pink, kind of a conical flower reaching out to you. And the undersides of the white umbrella are painted pinks, greens, oranges, and yellows. The next piece that you see is a cut paper on watercolor titled Sanctuary. This piece has only 2 colors. It's white and blue, different shades of blue, and it's cut paper shapes resembling clouds, shapes you might see in the sky, as well as some celestial sort of otherworldly shapes, maybe look a little bit like spaceships, possibly, something definitely celestial, hard to describe. There's some flower shapes as well, and in the darkest blue area in the upper right, there's a mountain shape, and that mountain is Mount Fuji in Japan. And as you back up and turn to your left, there's another blue and white cut paper on watercolor piece. And this piece is titled Where We Always Meet. And there's some of the similar celestial shapes resembling possibly floating ships, flowers, kind of shapes that might reflect the wind or clouds. And the background on this is blue and some sort of greenish yellows, watercolor painted flowers. And at the bottom is a shape, again, Mount Fuji appears along the foreground. And it has, if you think about Mount Fuji and the crest of Mount Fuji right above that is a tall extending flower with a long stem and many layers of cut paper collaged petals, all white. And behind this is another suspended sculpture titled Dance With Me, and this is all white cut foam, layers of large petals that all join together on one long piece of wood. And these layers of cut foam, the petals are layered on top of one another so that when the light comes down from the top, you can see the shapes through the bottom, through the underside. And about midway down the piece, there's a small branch that looks like it's been broken off of the wood, and out of that area is sort of growing a cut foam flower with beads extending out of it. And under Dance With Me, there are benches placed for viewers to sit and look at the work. And these are antique benches placed by the artist. The next piece that we see is titled Odyssey. And it's a cut paper on watercolor piece, horizontal, sort of panoramic shape. The watercolor paper background is bright flowers, greens, blues, oranges, purples, and pinks. And on top of that is painted cut paper, sort of, again, the celestial shape of a sort of spaceship or something that one might imagine as a spaceship. And as you turn to the right, the room of the exhibition opens up to a large suspended sculpture. And the suspended sculpture is made up of one large birdcage shape in the center. So there's a swing extending down vertically, topped with a sort of crown shape. And this is all white cut foam suspended from the wall, from the ceilings and the walls. And so in the center, we have this birdcage and swing, and extending from the birdcage, we have 8 smaller bird cages all connected by cut foam strings, cut foam connections, and each of these round bird cage shapes have different styles of swings inside each of them, and they're all cut foam again. And when you enter the space, you're able to walk through the different arms that extend to the different bird cages. If you walk very carefully, you can walk through all of them, you can walk around it, you can walk between the bird cages and the wall, and the light is hitting each of the bird cages really nicely so that it almost resembles morning sunlight coming through. So there's really soft light. And through this piece, which is titled Tour of KANA, or Goddess of the Dawn, you can see a two-dimensional piece hanging on the wall that is all white cut foam on top of a white flash painted surface. And these are shapes that resemble nature again. So the artist's sort of imagination of flowers, leaves, growing. It's a sort of jungle pattern landscape. And this piece is titled The Jungle I Have Always Wanted. And as we turn back around, back between the two spaces, there's a piece titled Portrait, which is another suspended sculpture. And this piece is white painted wood. It's the only piece in the exhibition where the wood is painted. And this wood extends vertically down to a point. And at the top of the wood, there are cut foam sort of umbrella shapes of nature, sort of leaf shapes at the top, and then suspended from a branch coming down off of the piece of wood, there's a mirror, a small white painted mirror that has two sides, and around the mirror are white pearl-headed push pins, creating a sort of halo around the mirror. And extending down from the mirror is a cut foam tail with little circles attached to each other. And as you turn around, you see the last piece in the exhibition, titled Happy Place, which is a suspended sculpture with wood and cut paper and mixed media. And this is the only piece in the exhibition where we have a suspended cut paper piece. The other suspended sculptures all consist of cut foam. And again, all of this paper is cut by hand by the artist. And Happy Place is one small, maybe 10-inch piece of driftwood, and extending out of either end are wires attached to cut paper shapes of leaves and flowers, a little bit larger in scale. So if you can imagine a long two-pronged leaves coming out of the top and then one long tail coming out of the bottom with leaves and flowers. And attached to each of these paper structures are individual sort of umbrella shapes of cut paper with monofilament extending down to small cut foam circles kind of floating below them.